Alright, here we are, part 2. Gonna go ahead and talk about some world building concepts. So what we're gonna do here is I've got a couple of my brushes. I like this nice brush. It's a little simple, sort of thins out, but the more pressure you put, it builds up bigger. And I got my nice brush 2, which is sort of a chalky chalk brush. It's funny, they're kind of reversed. This one starts off big and I want it small, and this one starts off small and I want it kind of big. Anyway, let's go ahead. I had some ideas. Actually, I'll use this nice brush right off the bat. Let's go back to this and then this. Alright, so I had some ideas. So originally we were dealing with sort of this kind of creature, and I designed a few little clothing items for her and a few little items. Now I'm thinking about what the world designs look like. So if there's priestesses and different groups of creatures gathered around, then I should probably also have some sort of place where they go and do their worshipy bits, right? Where are their temples? And I'm going to make their temples sort of like a tree. Well, maybe I'm thinking like maybe they have different priestesses for different things. Kind of not to get too crazy about the religion aspects, but I feel like the spirituality of these creatures is maybe an important aspect of their lives. So maybe they have like kind of a polytheistic culture, right? And that polytheistic culture has different priestesses for different aspects. So this one might be a priestess of nature, of growth, fertility, of let's say growing seasons, harvest. I'm not sure yet, but I want to put it in a tree. I want to put this in a tree, so I'm going to go ahead and make another layer to put underneath this one, so I can kind of give a general colorization or something. I just want a little bit of color back there, so maybe a little bit of blue-green hanging out back here. Let's use that nice brush. Nice brush, go. Alright, I just want a little indication that there's something going on back here. More so. And let's go ahead and tease that down into more of the greens. There we go. Right, so I'm getting some greenery effects going on, right? And while I'm doing this, I'm basically considering the color palette here. You wanna be like, what's the color palette we're using? Alright, and how does it fit in? And let's up that into a nice light blue. Obviously, there'll probably be more trees and stuff. I want to pretend like this tree. I want this tree to be like a big tree. So we could do maybe like a little. Here is the priestess there, kind of coming up into the tree. Using her maybe staff as a walking stick. Maybe she's carrying like a little package of stuff or something to do her priestly duties. Let's get in here and tease back that leg. And you know, maybe there's a bunch of steps that lead on up into it, right? This tree's so big that it kind of takes up, you know, we have some maples in my yard, big maple trees, and they kind of suck up all the life around them, you know, so there's a lot of, grass doesn't really grow, there's not a lot of grass, but lots of little, maybe weed thingies and mushrooms and stuff. Mushrooms! Maybe put some mushrooms, maybe these are big mushrooms, right, usually mushrooms are a bad sign on the tree, but they're okay next to it, right? And then we can go ahead and go back in here, kind of take some of these and work these steps on up into the tree trunk maybe. And I would like to see like a big hollow in the tree. And then I'd like to put some kind of light in there. I guess it'd almost have to be some kind of green kind of light coming from inside, right? Just because that would be kind of like a verdant color, as it were. Maybe. Part of me says yes to that, but it also kind of gives off a weird eerie glow at that point. Let's cut into that a little bit. But maybe that's like the point, like the tree itself is kind of considering that color palette. Is it working? Let's use the nice brush to continue that. I guess that wouldn't be what color trunk would be anyway, right? So let's go back to maybe some deep browns. There we go. And something that I like about neat things like Studio Ghibli, you think of Totoro and stuff, right? Ooh, getting some Ghibli action. Let's put some cool, maybe little spirit tokens around the tree itself, right? So, for example, let's get a very thin string of something here, of this color maybe. Right? Give a couple of different colors to that. There we go. And maybe it would even be neat to have like maybe paper lanterns or something that hang off of here. And I'm still not 100% sold on this green in the doorway. Part of me wants to like it. Maybe I should look up some referencing. But that's generally kind of, I'm feeling like it's coming along and it's giving me kind of what I want out of the scene anyway, right? And that comes from just a little bit of thought, you know, spent a little bit of time the other night just kind of thinking, what is it that I want to see in this scene? And what kind of world are they kind of living in? You know, what kind of world am I making for my creatures? Alright, so let's go back down to this first layer. I'm gonna have to make another under layer because I went too far, and maybe I'll sample some of that green and see if it fits better, because then it'll feel a little more like, oh yeah, that's supposed to be there. So get that nice brush. Alright. Kind of pop it down here. Very verdant. Alright. And I'm kind of using this big chunky brush to help me push the sort of the color and look. Right, it kind of looks like, oh yeah, yeah. It's a spattery kind of texture, so you get the impression. Yeah, there's like a grass thing going on here. Or it's like you're letting the texture do the work for you, as it were, right? Let that texture kind of fill in, because again, that'll help emphasize the scale of the situation. Right, because you're letting that kind of indicate that there's stuff going on. And you know what? Let's go ahead and just fill in all of that, and then I'll come back with maybe a adjust the tonal ranges here. Alright. And go on back to my nice brush and kind of, yeah, there we go. So, see, kind of a back and forth, using my two different brushes to kind of create the texture layouts. And it wouldn't be terrible to kind of push that and give some little highlight points. Or, let's see if the Nice Brush 2, sort of my texture brush, will help me out. It might not here, it might not be. Yeah, it's not bad. Actually, I kind of like that. A little bit. Alright. Make it big and make use of that. There we go. Alright, so now we have our sort of tree made up here. We got an idea. There's a lot going on. I can obviously fill in more, but let's say that this is our initial kind of concept, and you know, it gives us a nice little quick set piece that we can kind of play with. Something we can build on. It's just one little idea, right? Oh, like, hey, there's trees. I probably would want like more background, fill in more stuff, but for now we can say, hey, well, there you go, there's some concept. And it only took about it took 13 minutes to build this up and make like a little distinctive piece where people can look at it and say, yeah, I can see what's going on here. And if they want more, if they're like, we like that, let's maybe flesh it out a little bit more, you can come back in and do a couple different versions of it. I would probably take all this and kind of flatten it at this point into one. So flatten, layer, merge visible, right? Oh, oops, my bad. Sorry, layer, merge, just merge those layers. There we go. Okay, there you go. And then you can do fancy stuff with that if you really want. You can kind of size it down and deal with it in other ways. And that's it.